Alright guys, so we're going to be getting into a series working on a Stihl MS291. Today just kind of want to give an overview of what's going on with the saw and what we're going to have to end up doing with the saw to get it back running and cutting and working as it should. Now, this saw was previously owned. I was able to get a reasonable deal on it. The customer or seller, I should say, that had it prior to me, the previous owner, that's what I'm looking for, the previous owner, made some mistakes with the unit, and now I have it, right? And that might be my mistake, but we'll see. So this is kind of the consequence of not doing things the way you should. This isn't usually a fault. I haven't seen this as a faulty failure, like just because. I've seen this as a failure kind of due to negligence. So what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is when people fire up their saw for the first time of the day, for the first time that day, or maybe it sat for a few hours, you went, you had lunch, you came back and it's cold. It's totally cooled down. They put it on high idle or full choke, pull, get it going, but they never pop on the gas, right? Popping it off high idle. They leave it on high idle, the chain breaks on, and you've got this thing just superheating, heating up really, really quick. And you go, you move logs, you think you're just warming up your saw before you go to cut, but really you're kind of superheating your saw before you go to attempt cutting. In this case, due to this, the whole side where the bar normally is here is just totally annihilated. And I'll bring you guys in closer so you guys can check this out. And I'll show you some parts and things like that. Now, there's two scenarios here, right? What I see is people leave the chain brake on at that first start, and this happens. Or they leave the chain brake on after a warm start and hit the throttle and think there's something wrong and just keep hammering the throttle and don't take the chain brake off. So this is it. All that black is melted plastic. All right. You can see this housing, this cover here, melted pretty darn good. That's all jacked up. In the case of the 291, this isn't like we can't just fix this. All right, the chain brake sits in here. The sprocket's removed already. We've already removed, you know, what have we taken off? So we've removed, right, your sprocket, clutch, sprocket drum, all that stuff's removed. This actually, when I pulled out the clutch here, the springs are so heated, everything fell apart. You can see the bluing. Not good. Springs really have like no tension. Everything just fell apart. Here's the pieces, bunch of pieces that are normally here. Not all these screws, but some of these other pieces. Covered in plastic, just a washer. We could clean that up. And one of the other shoes there. This is the worm gear for the oiler. This is it. This is all that's left to spin the oiler. This is the worm gear for the oiler. There should be like a plastic threaded piece off the bottom of this, and this is all we're left with is just the spring tab. So that's cool. A bushing. I'm pretty sure this goes in the oiler. Melted, fell out. Piece of the worm gear here for the oiler gear. Just some plastic from the body. And here is the oil pump. This is the motor side, but this is the sprocket side. Just totally gonzo. We get in here, right? We get looking. Oil line. Totally done. Just shot. Melted. Right, so right now the MS291 is about 550 bucks. So this was a $550 mistake in that aspect. This was a brand new unit. This was a brand new unit, days old. Yeah, so just saying. Anyway, I'm going to attempt over the course of a couple videos, see if we can't get this thing going. Yeah, this guy's all filthy, but we're going to see what we can do. So I've already got some parts here for this somewhat what feels like basically a rebuild. We've already got the motor housing, motor case. Now with the 291, the whole lower is already in the body, but in order to replace this, right, we got to replace this whole thing. Luckily it comes with the oil line already in, but my goal is to kind of get this reassembled the best that I can. Carb back on, exhaust, flywheel, whatever I can kind of slip on over here. And then I want to have a video totally breaking it down, disassembling. And then we'll start with another video of reassembling. Have new crank seals and new crank bearings. So I kind of want to split the motor. Well, actually we have to. Now, I don't know what I'm talking about. We have to split the motor anyway, because here's the lower. So we're going to have to split the top end to get it off this case and put it in here. So we're going to look, though. I'm interested to see if the bearings and the crank look any different on the inside. The whole thing could be a waste, but we're going to see what we can do here. You know, for me, you know, the parts aren't too bad. It'll be labor, and like, I'm okay with that for a saw that I'll run chainsaw carving and things like that. But I do have pretty much a whole box of parts here and some parts here. But like I was saying, guys, plan is put this thing back together. If you guys are, you know, mechanics for these things, small engine mechanics for these chainsaws, I do have a question, and that would be, have you had any issues with those crank seals failing after this, or the bearings failing after a situation like this? I'm already planning on replacing them, but I'm just curious if you've got a story or something to go on with that. I'd like to hear it. You know, just general chit chat conversation sort of thing. Would like to know, you know, did you get through this sort of job and have to replace seals and bearings just due to, you know, everything being superheated? Yeah, so if you got an MS291 and you're going to want to do this work yourself, be sure to give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all, so you guys don't miss future uploads and notifications for that stuff. And hopefully the next video we'll start tearing this guy down, and we'll have a couple more videos getting it back together and cutting with it and seeing how it goes. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next video.